Good morning.
There we go. Morning, sir. How are you doing? It's good to have you. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
Where do we start on this? We had a good interview and good visit with Trey Lamar, and there were a lot of questions, and I think he said, Kevin would be able to do that, answer some of those, but I don't know. It's kind of up in a flux now. We have, stop me if I'm wrong on this one, and we're talking about the Mississippi correction systems. The new administration who's come in to take over a sad situation from the previous, as you well know, is doing everything they possibly can with limited dollars and with the system in bad need of not only repair but a change of direction, and has done a great job. But there's some things just not humanly possible at a great rate of speed to which this Justice Department wants to happen. My question to you is, if the Justice Department takes it over, what will that look like?
Well, Paul, that will not be very good for the citizens and the taxpayers in Mississippi. I don't believe that based on what's happened in the current administration that we're headed in that direction, and I say that in all honesty. I do believe that we've done some things that have improved the situation. I was hopeful, and I've been telling leadership in both chambers for the last two to 3 years, and members, that DOJ was going to submit some type of report. I was hopeful that we were going to get an opportunity to get some type of response. And I talked to Chairman Kane. I've been talking to him about it. Commissioner Kane for a number of months, and we knew this was coming, but unfortunately we did not get an opportunity to respond. I will say that a number of the things in the DOJ report predate this administration, and we've done some things, as you probably know. We've increased the budget this year by $48 million. Over 33 million of that's going to staffing. And we knew that the DOJ report was going to concentrate on staffing issues that have been prevalent in MDOC for a number of years. But we have challenges in the system to hire individuals in certain areas of the state because of the competitive market of other jobs and some of the situations that have been developing over the years in some of the facilities. And it is a challenge, Paul.
But was our case made the right way for them to understand you can't get blood out of a turnip? I mean, it's not something that we weren't trying to do. If their suggestion is you've got to get up the hourly wage a lot better than it is now, I can understand that. But that might not even work.
No, sir. Paul, that's not going to be the only answer to the issue. If you look at what happened in Alabama, and we had members from the Department of Corrections from Alabama come over and testify in the corrections hearings about how they attempted to do certain things to avoid the $1 billion price tag that they're working on right now as we speak. And they had a special session, as I understand it, last fall to address it. We did some of those. We talked to them about how we could avoid some of those things, met with officials from the Department of Corrections, and felt like we were headed in that direction, members of the governor's staff. And we felt like we were headed in that direction. I do not believe, if you look at the Alabama report, look at the Mississippi report, a lot of the same issues are there. Our instances of inmate violence were not near as great as theirs, but our issues involving mental health and also staffing pretty much mirror the issues that they had in Alabama.
Did they dictate that where that $1 billion was to go?
They have decided, I believe they're building new facilities, and I think it's actually going to cost them more than $1 billion in the long run. But they're building, they closed, I believe, 2 facilities, and they have they're building another facility that's going to be more, I would say, staff friendly and inmate friendly, for lack of a better word. And that's some of the challenges we have. We've got to decide what we're going to do with some of the the facilities that we have now, Paul. Are we going to? We've got the $80 million in ARPA money for infrastructure upgrade in some of the existing facilities. Some of those things we just have to do right now, but we're going to have to get a little bit. We're going to have to get a little bit smarter about how we handle some of our infrastructure problems moving forward.
I understand that. If you put $80 million in that, and I think I asked this question to the Ways and Means chairman, is it worth putting all that money into Parchman, or are we just putting lipstick on a pig where sooner or later we're going to have to face the fact that this thing's not going to get any better, and it's going to cost a great deal of money to fix it up, number one. Number two, no matter how good it is, you still don't have the labor source there to get it done. And these decisions are the ones that the elected officials in both the House and Senate are going to have to grasp sooner or later.
Well, Paul, that you're correct in, the $80 million, not all of it was going to Parchman. Some of it was going to Marshall County, East Mississippi, different Wilkerson, some of the regionals. But you're correct. You've got to look at a situation over there, labor force and also infrastructure. So the unfortunate circumstance is that we have to do certain things to provide water, repair electricity, do things like that right now. And a portion of that money, I mean, these inmates, 3,600 of them are still in Parchman, including death row and the farm over there. So we had to do some of that stuff regardless what our long-term plan is. I met with Chairman Kane last Monday and his staff and expressed my need to have some type of 10 to 15-year plan where we're going to be as far as inmate housing of inmates. We have a facility at Walnut Grove that's a relatively good, clean facility. The problem is the way it's designed is extraordinarily expensive to staff. And you can staff that facility and fill it up, and you still haven't solved the problem of providing an adequate staff at those facilities. And as far as the employment of those individuals in the Delta, I agree with you to a certain extent as far as workforce. But here's the issue we have. When you get close to Tennessee, like Marshall County, or you get down close to the coast, you have other employers that are competing with those individuals as well, that some of that just doesn't exist in the Delta. So you have opportunities in the Delta for employment for individuals if you can get the hourly rate up to something that's attractive to those individuals.
So you think that resource would be there, but what are we talking about? What, is there a number bandied around as far and it's I have no idea how much it is now. Is it about $13 or $14 an hour? What is it now?
You're right at 15, and depends on what level you are. You have different levels. You can come in to MDOC. Let's say you're a police officer, you're a captain or a major at a police department, and you come in with qualifications. You can come in under the new scale that we have, somewhere between $43,000 and $45,000 a year. Entry level, when we get the money put together, according to what Commissioner Kane has indicated to me on Monday, is going to put you at somewhere around $37,000 to $40,000. They're trying to get that number to $40,000, and that is entry level. That should be attractive enough to individuals in certain areas to come to work for MDOC.
I don't disagree. I mean, and the working conditions there have got to improve too for these folks, but
they do,
and that's saying very little because it's prison. I understand that. Has there been any thought of maybe shutting it down and moving, and maybe finding out which one of the existing prisons could be enlarged a little bit here or there to take that load at Parchman? I'll ask that question to Kevin Horan, the chairman of House Corrections, when we come back right after this. I do want to ask you this, because has there been some type of a study, and by the way, we're speaking with Kevin Horan. Kevin is the chairman of corrections in the House from Carroll County, Grenada County, Holmes, LaFleur, and Tallahatchie counties. Has there been any kind of study, Kevin, from DFA or the experts in here of the entire plant to say, here's what you guys need to do?
Not that I'm aware of, Paul. Hopefully we're going to start looking at some of those things. I do know that there's some segmented studies of the Parchman grounds. I don't know about whether or not there's been anything regarding the regionals and the private institutions, things of that nature. I'm not aware of any.
So what's the game plan going forward? What are we doing to meet that? Is it a June 8th deadline? And what does that deadline say? That you better fix it all or come up with a plan or what? And your mic just turned off, by the way. Now I got you there. Go. Got it.
Okay. All that June deadline is just a notice that they're going to turn it over to for the possibility of initiating a lawsuit. And I don't want to get too much in detail of conversations, but nonetheless, that's what that is. But to answer your question about the facilities, I've talked to Commissioner Kane about trying to figure out whether or not filling up Walnut Grove is an option. There's some of the infrastructure issues we have at Parchman, and ask him to look into what facilities there are viable moving forward. And I think that's going to require, of course, DFA to be involved. And like I said earlier, have some type of 15-year plan for housing and other things. We've got 16 regionals that were built back some 20 years ago, some 25 years ago, that house low custody, trustee type and eligible B+ eligible inmates. But Walnut Grove is an option. Like I said earlier, it's very expensive to staff, and just gonna have to figure out whether or not paying for staffing, if that facility is worth it, or building another facility. Some of the Parchman buildings will have to be in the very near future vacated, in my opinion.
I would imagine
to comply with the deal.
Is our labor shortage statewide, not only in the Delta area, as bad as the workforce is there, but is the labor shortage statewide as far as all the entire correction system?
It is statewide. It's an issue statewide, Paul. And hopefully this increase in pay will help. Also, we had some issues that some technical issues with personnel board on some overtime, things of that nature, that they got resolved last year. That was creating some issues. The commissioner got that resolved with the personnel board, and hopefully combination of those two things being fixed, or at least moving forward, shall help us a good bit.
Did they, for the Alabama, I'm just interested to hear, how did they say Alabama taxpayers had to come up with $1 billion all at once, or 15 years, or how did that work?
Paul, I cannot answer that. I do know they went in session, I believe in September, and addressed that, but to answer that, I can't. I assume they advanced it through a bond. I do not know.
Real quick, yes or no, will we have to have a special session on this?
No,
what do
sir,
you
I
think?
do not believe we'll have to.
I do not
believe we'll, but no, I don't think so, Paul.
Well, look, man, I appreciate you taking time out of Monday. I know it's always a hectic day. Kevin Horan, I thank you. Keep us informed. Call me anytime you need me. And I thank you.